a battle. Pitch count got up there. Right from the get-go, walked the leadoff guy. Really bowed his neck there in the second to get the 3 punch-outs. Or no, that was the third. Sorry. But then, thinking about it now, I almost should have probably treated that like a reliever that got out of a high-leverage spot. He probably used everything up right there in the third. The pitch count was up near mid-60s, and it was hard work. Stuff looked fine, just didn't command it as well as he normally does.
Mickey and the Duke, say hey, say hey, say hey. It was Willie, Mickey and the Duke, say hey, say hey, say hey. I'm talking Willie, Mickey and the Duke, say hey, say hey, say hey.
BK, trite as it may sound, statistics, as much black type as there is next to his name in the baseball encyclopedia or baseball reference, as amazing as those statistics may be, they do not do him justice. You had to see him. I was only a kid. I was in college when he played his last game. The first time I saw him play in person, I was 5 years old. But you knew. It was like Michael Jordan in basketball. If you took somebody who'd never seen a basketball game to see the Chicago Bulls and you didn't tell them who any of the players were, their eyes would go to Michael Jordan even if he was having an off night. If Willie Mays was 0 for 4 and there was never a play in the gap, nothing spectacular, just the basket catch, just the way he carried himself, you would be drawn to him. He exuded joy. It wasn't just that he was great. He was incredibly great. But there was something more than that. There was something poetic about him.
Good morning, Kansas City. This is New Day with SSJ. A lengthy intro because a lot happened yesterday. So thank you very much for joining us. We appreciate it. We will talk with Mike Boddicker, Mike Boddicker, Matt Derrick, Buddy Biancalana, and Todd Lebo today. So full show. Lots to discuss. We can get the Royals out of the way right off the bat. Bad performance. Terrible performance. You can't sugarcoat that. This is there's a certain point where you cross the line where you stop talking about the Royals like it's just a feel-good story. Like, hey, we're just glad to be here. Just man, it feels good not to suck, doesn't it? And look, if you want to, but if that's your approach, if that's your perspective, the entire season, roll with it. That ain't it for me, man. They have enough talent. They got off to a good enough start to where they have a real chance to make the playoffs, and you can't take those opportunities for granted. Too many weird things happen in sports, weird things happen in baseball, injuries, whatever else, and you have a good enough rotation. You have a good amount of talent that you need to add to. You need to go out and acquire some more players, but the path is there to make the playoffs. I don't know if the path's there to win the division, but the path is there to make the playoffs. And the Royals had to take advantage of it. They didn't take advantage of a good opportunity to win a game against a bad baseball team. It's only one game, but they better win the next two. You can't go to Oakland. You can't be losing 2 out of 3 to Oakland. You can't. Oakland's terrible. They had lost 9 games in a row. Now, after last night's win, they're 27-48. They're a bad baseball team. They're a bad baseball team, and you're not going to go to another baseball stadium. You're not going to go make another road trip where fans care less. There should be no home field advantage. It should be a very welcoming place to play for the opposition. Go out there and just beat a team that you're better than. And last night Alec Marsh was awful. As good as he was against the Yankees, that's how bad he was last night. 7 earned runs in 3 innings. That should never happen against Oakland. Hey, the bullpen, then after that, 5 scoreless innings, so you could, I don't know, you could look at that as a bright spot, but no. Nope. If you're just happy not to suck, and if you're happy to hopefully root for a team that ends up above 500 and that's good enough for you, then last night shouldn't bother you. If you have the postseason on your mind, then last night should bug you. Last night should bother you. Again, 1 game, but now you got to win the next 2 or you lose a series to Oakland. And it's just, the teams around you right now are too good. Because we've seen how good Cleveland is. And now, Minnesota's passed you. Now the Royals in 3rd place. Cleveland's 44-26. Minnesota's 41-32. And the Royals are 41-33. So now the Twins are only 4.5 games behind Cleveland. And they're a half game ahead of the Royals. So now the Royals are no longer in 2nd place in the division. They've been passed up by the Minnesota Twins. And now when you look at the wild card spot, they don't have the number 2 spot anymore in the wild card race. That belongs to the Twins. They have the number 3 spot, and they only, just not very long ago, they had a 5.5 game cushion over the non-playoff teams. Now, Boston, winners of 4 in a row, they're only 2 games behind the Royals for that last wild card spot. So now if the Royals don't turn things around, they could fall out of the wild card. So it's only June, but these games count the same as games in August and September. So that was just a disappointing outing by Marsh and a disappointing performance by the Royals. And look, it ain't too much to ask for the Royals to win these next 2 games because you got Cole Reagans and Seth Lugo. You should win these 2 games. You absolutely should win these 2 games. Win the series, like we said yesterday. You're not going to sweep everybody that's bad. You're not going to sweep all the last place teams, but win the series. Win the series, or you're going to look back and regret it. So, Royals lose. That sucks. They allow the A's to end their 9-game losing streak against them. 7-5 final score. But now you got Cole Reagans on the mound tonight. Win it. And then Thursday afternoon, you got Seth Lugo on the mound. Win it. Then you win 2 out of 3. All's good. Come home. Take on the Rangers. Get Waka back. Hopefully get Renfroe back soon. Get Michael Massey back soon. And then you're feeling good. Don't lose this series. Come on. Come on, Royals. Do something. All right. I get it. Losing series to the Yankees and losing the series to the Dodgers. I understand. I get it. You're not as good as them. Beat the A's. Okay, so that's the Royals. Now, the biggest story around here after yesterday's events is the looming bidding war between Kansas and Missouri for the Chiefs and the Royals. Oh, this is going to be fun. This is going to be great. I will read to you from the Associated Press story. Kansas is making a serious run at becoming the new home for the reigning Super Bowl champions, with legislators approving a plan Tuesday for luring both the Chiefs and the Royals away from Missouri. Bipartisan legislative supermajorities okayed the measure to authorized state bonds to help finance new stadiums and practice facilities for both teams on the Kansas side of the metropolitan area of 2.3 million residents, which is split by the border with Missouri. I like how the Associated Press just lays it all out there. Huh. And you've got people right now. What? Really? Kansas City's in both Kansas and Missouri? Side note, Susan got so pissed off because she went to go see Nico Moon at Hot Country Nights on Thursday, and at some point, great to be back in Kansas. And she gets more pissed off than I do about that. I don't know why. I think it's funny sometimes. But I know that I've been lucky enough to be backstage at most of these venues in Kansas City, and there's always a big sign that says, "You are in Kansas City, Missouri." And one time we were backstage, and I think one of my kids, "Why do they have that?" I said, "Because many times entertainers have no idea where they are." I'm not kidding. They're walking on stage, and have you seen those? I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know if you're a backstage Betty.
I've been there.
But there's a sign that says, "You are in Kansas City, Missouri."
Hey, look, if you're not from here, it can be a little confusing.
I understand that, but if there's a sign that
No,
says
you're
that,
right, yeah.
if you are performing in front of a crowd, know where you are. That's it.
That is
know where you are.
Is very important. I agree.
That's it.
I agree. For people who aren't performing,
Right.
it's very confusing.
I get that.
So, I mean.
But if you're walking on stage,
yeah, if you are.
that's it. That's
you
all.
probably know what side of the state line
The
you're in.
venues do a very nice job of that.
They do.
And they literally have signs
Yeah.
as the performers walking on stage says, "You are in Kansas City, Missouri." Or wherever, you know.
Yes.
Wherever you are.
You should know.
Okay?
You should know.
And Susan's like, I love him, but he did. She even, tagged him on an Instagram,
Boy.
The concert was great, thanks for coming to Kansas City, Missouri. Like, oh boy, Sue, come on. Come on, Sue. Anyway, I just like how the Associated Press lays that out because people read,
Very
really?
good. Well done, AP.
Kansas City's in both states?
Yes. 2 different cities.
Whatever. I digress.
Yes.
The plan from the Republican-controlled legislature goes next to Democratic Governor Laura Kelly. While she stopped short of promising to sign it, she said in a statement that Kansas City now has the opportunity to become a professional sports powerhouse. So many statements. We'll get to that. We're going to get to that. But then when I'm preparing, I'm texting with Lebo. I'm sending sound to you. I'm trying to repost everyone. Everyone released an official statement last night. It might take me to 10 o'clock to read all the statements. I'm going to try. But then, while this is all happening, Willie Mays passed away. And I just stopped what I was doing and read about Willie Mays and started listening to people talk about Willie Mays. 93 years old. We should all be so lucky to live to be 93, right?
Absolutely.
But it's still sad because it's more than just Willie Mays. It's, we've had so many legendary sports figures pass away recently. Jerry West, Bill Walton, here just recently, and now Willie Mays. And depending on how you were raised or what you followed when you were a kid or who had an influence over you, all these, losing these people, losing these legends, all means different things to different people, right? And I can just speak from my perspective. My sports fandom was heavily influenced by my grandfather, Danny Ontiveros. And he was as passionate of a sports fan as anyone I've ever been around. My love for boxing came from him and my dad. And my mom, really. All of them. But My grandfather, some of my best memories are sitting down and going to his house and watching a fight, and watching the Julio Cesar Chavez fight, or watching, I mean, really Mike Tyson. I watch a lot of Mike Tyson fights over at my grandfather's house. Hagler, Leonard, Hearns, Duran, we watched some great fights together. But also one of the things that I remember the most and cherish is he would encourage my love of baseball cards and collecting, and he would take me to the TriStar Collector Show, and they'd be out here at the Overland Park Convention Center.
Oh yeah,
and it was real. And see,
they were huge.
This is where I lost my love for collecting, because it was never about, at least with us, it was never about the money. It was about the history. It was about the stories. It was about having something that we shared, that we loved together, and that was baseball, and that was baseball cards, but what they meant. And, I just would always be fascinated. I'm holding a baseball card that's 40 years old or 50 years old, or I'm holding a baseball card, or my grandfather, me, I had that card when I was a kid. Now you have it, and it's like, man, this is the same baseball card. So tell me, Grandpa, what was it like to watch him, or what was it like to see this player? And they would have baseball legends out here. And I remember we stood in line. He'd buy the autograph tickets, and we stood in line to see Hank Aaron. We stood in line forever to see Ted Williams. We stood in line to see Willie Mays. And it wasn't about, and he would keep all the stuff. What happened to that stuff is another story, and another reason why I don't speak to half of my family, because that was get me going off on a tangent, The wrong people got their hands on that and turned that into money when it should have been kept in our family and passed down to generations, right? Whatever. But I don't care about that. I wish I could just have those things that we had signed. Like I had a stupid baseball card signed by Ted Williams. It wasn't even worth anything, but that was what I had, and my grandfather gave it to me, and I wanted that. It wasn't about what am I going to be able to resell this for, or is this mint condition, right? Or we had a baseball signed by Hank Aaron. I had this beautiful picture, this 8x10 picture, signed by Willie Mays, and I wasn't thinking, get a baseball sign, that's got the best resale value. That wasn't what I was thinking about. I had this cool 8x10 picture that my grandfather had given me of Willie Mays, and I got it signed. And and my grandfather would tell me stories, and he'd always tell me that the two best baseball players that he ever saw, Babe Ruth and Willie Mays. Clearly didn't get the opportunity to see Babe Ruth. But we'd go see these players, and he'd tell me stories, and I'd look up the stats, and I'd be fascinated by it, and I still am. And last night I spent half hour or so just looking at stats, just looking at numbers, and just trying to put myself in that mindset of being a little kid with my grandfather and listening to him tell stories about, why Willie Mays was the best, or why people didn't give him enough credit for how great he was defensively, and all these things. And so it's just when these legends pass away, it's sad, obviously, to lose the person. And even though, like I said, we should all be so lucky to live to be 93, but it's also it's nostalgic, right? And you reminisce. And then you think back, and obviously, then seeing Willie Mays, that reminds me of my grandfather and how much I miss him. And I wish I could pick up the phone, and that's the first person I would have called, right? Grandpa, can you believe it? Willie Mays, passed away. Or it just brings up feelings. It's just emotional. And it's that way for a lot of people. Because Willie Mays represented something he represented so many different things to different people. But he was, there's no argument, one of the greatest baseball players of all time. And maybe the greatest. If you tell me he was the greatest baseball player of all time, you know what? I might think that. I was trying to decide that last night. He might be. The Say Hey Kid, but also such a big part of pop culture. What was Willie Mays? Major League, Willie Mays Hayes. Who was the Royals' first baseman in the 80 World Series, Willie Mays Aikens. Willie Mays, baby. The Say Hey Kid. And so I just kind of stopped everything that I was doing with show prep and everything else, and I started watching Willie Mays highlights. And there's just something beautiful about pausing your life for a moment and taking a step back and appreciating history, or appreciating the greatness of those that came before us. And it doesn't have to just be sports, right?
Celebrating life.
Yes, and you take a moment to celebrate what Willie Mays represented and what he was, and of course, what a great baseball player he was. Larger than life. And so we'll play some different clips of people talking about Willie Mays. Obviously Mike Boddicker has a great appreciation for baseball history and has had the opportunity to meet so many different baseball legends, and so we'll ask him about Willie Mays, and just sad, that's all. Makes you feel like a kid again, thinking about that and the people that you miss and how awesome those memories are, right? And the stories. Because we never had the opportunity to see Willie Mays play. We depended on our dads or our grandfathers to tell us about him and tell us how, and my grandfather had a way of describing someone so perfectly that you were just like, like he was like a superhero. Really? He was that good, and I would just be captivated by my grandfather's storytelling, especially when it came to sports.
I think every catch that was ever made that was great was compared to that catch. And it's like, how many times as a kid growing up you let the ball go over your head so you could try to
Willie Mays.
Yeah, well, that's like growing up. That's you trying to make the Willie Mays catch. Like, that's the most iconic catch in the history of the game of baseball, in my opinion. And it's like, how many times you see that on old VHS tapes my dad had, and it's Like, oddly enough, I thought of you and your grandpa when this news, that was one of the, because you literally, I think it was last week.
Yeah.
Or maybe the week before that you told that story. I literally, and I was like, that was the first thing, one of the first things that popped in my head is like, man, Steven was just telling a story about meeting Willie Mays with his grandpa.
Oh, it was, and the I think my favorite thing about it is when, because my grandfather came from nothing, he built himself up literally from nothing. He was dirt poor when he made his way into this country and turned himself into something special and something wonderful. But I can distinctly remember when we would stand in line and we'd get up to the front, whether it was Hank Aaron or Willie Mays or Ted Williams, whoever else, that we stood in line all those, for a couple of hours or however long it was to get their autograph or whatever. His demeanor and his joy would be like a kid. And it was almost like when he got there, he was like a kid meeting his heroes. And that was I will remember, that was so cool, And it was, and that's one of the reasons why I fell in love with sports. Like, sports can do that to you. Sports can take somebody and just make them feel like a kid, make them feel good, make them happy, give them good memories. Like forevermore, whenever I see George Brett walking around, I'm like, hey, here's my guy. And I think, and it makes me happy. There'll be kids long after I'm gone. Oh, this is get me choked up. In 30 years or so, maybe my kids will see Patrick Mahomes or Travis Kelce somewhere, and that'll think, oh, remember watching it with my dad. Remember how excited Dad would get when we'd be watching Mahomes and Kelce together. That's just, I guess that's how I feel. So it just made me sad. But that's why sports are so special, right? We share memories. It creates bonds. It gives us something that, that lasts literally a lifetime. These connections with people that we love, that's what sports are all about. So, rest in peace to Willie Mays. We'll take a break. Back after this on WHB.
advice in life, whether it's an investment or a thought you might have on food you need to eat. He had advice for you on every aspect of your life, and I think that's why he's so endeared for so many years. You can only remember a guy as a player for so long, but what kind of personality? I think that's why it's so impactful. And it's a lot of people right now, like I said, Jimmy and I right now. Well, I think devastating news. I'm actually in the airport in Atlanta right now, connecting to Birmingham for the events that are happening, really to celebrate Willie and his peers, as the commissioner said in the statement. But I think Ken would agree with this. Anytime Willie was like a father to all of us. He was from that generation that was pass it on. And if it meant discipline, if it meant conversation about the sport, if it meant something, advice in life, whether it was an investment or a thought you might have on food you need to eat, he had advice for you on every aspect of your life. And I think that's why he's so endeared for so many years. You can only remember a guy as a player for so long, but what kind of person are you? And I think that's why it's so impactful. And it's hitting a lot of people right now, like it's hitting Junior and I right now.
That was Harold Reynolds speaking on MLB Network last night about the passing of Willie Mays. We now welcome Mike Boddicker into studio. Hello, Mike. How are you?
I'm good, Stephen. How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm looking at this picture right now of Hank Aaron, Willie Mays, and Roberto Clemente.
Ooh.
And again, one of the cool things, and that's one of the reasons why I lost my love for collecting, is because it like I said, it wasn't really about the money for me. It was just about having things of sentimental value. And I remember when I was a kid, there was this baseball card store on Warno Road, right? And we didn't. I was a little kid. We didn't have, we got by, but we didn't have a whole lot of money to be spending on expensive baseball cards, right? But my mom would take me, on the weekends, probably almost every weekend, to look at cards. And we made friends with the guy that owned the baseball card shop, and I found this out later, but he would call my mom and let her know when he got his hands like on a card that he knew that I loved, but it was jacked up, dog-eared, or somebody had written on it or whatever.
Yeah.
But I didn't care. I just wanted the actual card. And one of the cards that I always wanted to have a Roberto Clemente rookie.
Oh,
But it was but it was messed up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so to collectors, it wasn't worth anything, but just to have it. And so he'd tell her, and then he'd kind of put it out, and then she'd know that it was there, but she didn't tell me. And then we go, and I was a little kid. I'd be looking around. Oh, Mom, look at the, like I found it, so I could get the,
Oh, yeah.
I went in there and I found this. Look. Oh, I didn't even realize we had that, and make a deal. I remember she I don't know, maybe $5 or $6 or something, like whatever. And it was a lot to us back then, but I mean, and I'd have it, and I had all these different cards that were nowhere near mint condition, but these great famous cards that I loved, and some of them were Willie Mays cards. But it's just so cool because again, those provide me with great memories of my family and my love of baseball, my love of baseball cards and things like that. And that's why I always enjoy talking with you, because I know you have that with your sons, and you've had a chance through your baseball career to cross paths with so many of these great players. And, of course, one of those players you cross paths with, Willie Mays.
Yes.
So give me a Willie Mays story, please.
Well, the first time I met Willie Mays was, I think it was the winter of '83 after we'd won the World Series. I got invited to a autograph session. I think it was in Norfolk, Virginia. And I thought, okay, I'll go down there, and we got a great big long table. And I go to sit. I sat down. I get there early. I always get there early. I get nervous, and went up there. I'm sitting there, and parade of my boyhood idols start coming up. You got Ernie Banks, you got Hank Aaron, you got Willie Mays. I mean, you just go down the line, and it was like, what the hell am I doing here? I'm going, I don't belong here. Not with these guys. These guys were icons. They're Hall of Famers. I'm going, what am I doing here? And they were all very nice. Willie was nice. I mean, he signed a ball for me. I tried to get a few things signed, but I remember sitting there, and Bob Gibson was there, who was my idol growing up pitching, and I'm sitting there going, you could tell I was fidgeting, I didn't feel right, and I remember Ernie Banks looking at me going, "You all right?" I says, "Mr. Banks," I says, "to be honest with you, I don't know what I'm doing up here. I don't belong here. Not with you guys." I says, it's just not right. And I remember him looking over to Hank Aaron and going, "Hank, kid feels out of place." He goes, "He's a big leaguer, isn't he?" Hank goes, "Yeah, he belongs with us." And I went, wow. I was just dumbfounded. And Willie's just sitting there grinning because all these guys they know, they've been there. They were that guy at one time. But I wasn't in their class or category. But it was really neat. That was the first time I met Willie.
So who was your favorite player when you were a kid?
Growing up? Yeah. Roberto Clemente.
Yeah.
I traded stuff that I probably should have never traded to get one Roberto Clemente autograph. I have one. One.
Damn.
And, I got a lot of his cards.
I mean, I can see the 8x10 of Willie Mays that I had signed.
Yeah.
I wish I could see it. It's
Is that
somewhere.
a Clemente
It's
bat?
somewhere.
Huh?
Did you get a bat signed?
No. I got an 8x10. That's all I have. He was gone by the time I could.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, it was like.
Oh, he was my dad's favorite too.
He passed away in '72.
Yeah. The crash. I was crushed. Because he was my favorite. I had my guys. I had Mays, Aaron, and Gibson were by far, I tried to think about hitting like Hank Aaron and pitching like Bob Gibson. Obviously, it didn't work out too well. But, yeah, those were my boyhood idols, and I'm sitting at a table with them. I got to sit at tables with DiMaggio and Ted Williams. I mean, I was blessed throughout my baseball career to meet and talk to a lot of these guys who I grew up idolizing.
He has an argument as the best baseball player of all time, right? I mean,
Pardon?
Willie Mays is in. I mean, you could.
Willie Mays, I think, was the best baseball player of all time.
Right.
Yeah. And you can go down the list and he's 24-time All-Star. 24 All-Star.
I'm not.
You can't even put that. I mean, think about it. Just to be in the big leagues for 24 years, but to be an All-Star for 24 years. That's just.
I'm not doing
mind-blowing.
this to make you mad.
Yeah.
I'm really not. You're gonna think I am, but I'm not. I'm doing this just to kind of put things in perspective.
Right.
Because it's instead of looking at some list that some guy wrote, I'm looking at. Oh, boy, you're gonna get mad at me. At Baseball References.
That's good enough right there.
Career WAR, right?
Oh, sure.
But it's just a way to,
Right.
right? Okay.
Okay, I get it. But
and again, no offense, but it's like I feel like there should be position players should be separated from pitchers.
Oh, I agree.
Right.
100%.
Because like they have
It's just like the awards. You can't give an MVP. The pitchers already have their Cy Young.
Like I don't think any
MVP
pitcher
should be a position player.
Any pitcher should be ahead of Willie Mays. Come on, no.
Okay. No.
But anyway, so just to give you an idea, for career WAR leaders at Baseball Reference, number 1 is Babe Ruth. All right.
Yeah.
Number 2 is Walter Johnson.
Big train.
Number 3 is Cy Young. Number 4 is Barry Bonds. And number 5 is Willie Mays.
No.
But I do think it's interesting now that at least you could say, or some would say, that Willie Mays was certainly the greatest living baseball player until yesterday, and now maybe his godson is the greatest.
No, that's
living
true.
Baseball player.
Perry's his godson, yeah.
That's pretty.
Yeah.
That's wild. Because it might be. Is Barry Bonds the greatest living baseball player now? I mean, I don't know. I mean,
Yeah, could be.
Okay. But anyway.
Ken Griffey Jr. I'd have to throw in there. Man, he was good.
Man, I'm with you because my grandpa would just say Babe Ruth and Willie Mays, you know? And how the hell do I know? I didn't see any of them. I couldn't see him live. But Willie Mays was so unbelievable defensively, and I've read different articles about how his defensive value was underrated. You know, he wasn't.
You just pick any category. Running the bases, just thinking the game, hitting for power. You just name it. Like I told you on the break, I says if there was more than a 5-tool player, he would have been it.
So then I got deeper into this. And so George Brett is in the top 50, or I was going to throw a fit. He's number 48. And then I saw right ahead of him at number 43, Wade Boggs.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to put you on the spot. Who's better, George Brett or Wade Boggs?
George Brett. I play with both of them.
And that's what I'm asking you.
And I played with George at the end of his career, but I got to play against him going through that when he was just, wow. Yeah. Yeah, George is a stud. No, that's why I don't believe any of that stuff you
But it
read
just at least gives me,
I know.
Something. And look, it has,
Granted,
it has Willie Mays.
They're you pick George or Wade, they're both Hall of Famers.
Right.
But George was, woof.
I just saw that, so I have to ask.
No, George is
Mike
better
about
than
that.
Wade. Bogsy'd tell you.
Would he?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Bogsy'd say that.
I didn't know. But this has, Willie Mays as the 5th best player of all time, but I don't know.
Willie, no. Like I said, there's categories. Pitchers and position players. It's like anytime a pitcher would win an MVP, it'd drive me crazy. No, you have your award. You have your Cy Young award. Position players should get the MVP. Pitchers, no, it's not right.
And your son spent a little time around Willie Mays.
Oh, James,
right?
a ton, yeah. He used to work the national shows for a friend of his, and yeah, he spent time with Willie, a lot of time. All those guys, he had him in his phone.
Can you tell that story?
I don't know if he'd get in trouble.
With who?
I don't know. They might come after him.
I don't think so.
Oh. Yeah, I probably could.
Nobody's listening right now. Is it me and you?
Nobody's listening to this show, for God's sake.
You're playing for an audience of one.
Tell the story.
Okay. So
Tell the story.
James used to sit there by the guys and talk to them and kind of, he was a handler, kind of.
Before they'd go out
before they'd go out to sign,
they'd be
they'd be in the back room, either signing stuff, dozens of balls, or whatever, 8x10s, whatever for the promoter. And Willie would always sit there before he would go out. He'd get a piece of paper and he'd practice his name. Now he was up in age. I mean, he's getting there, so he wanted. He was a perfectionist.
Sure.
He wanted to look great, and so he would start off.
And he had a beautiful signature.
Beautiful signature. So he's writing his name on this 8x10 over and over and over and over again. And when Willie got up to go out, Willie's guy would sit there and grab the paper, rip it to shreds. Nobody ever got this paper. Nobody ever got to see this paper. Nothing. So one of his last shows that James did with Willie, the guy forgot to grab it. Now it's sitting there, and nobody came and ripped it up because James had seen it before. And so James goes, well, nobody wants it. I'm taking it. He took it. He's got it at home. It's the only one.
Attaboy, James.
That's the only one out there.
I saw him on Thursday, by the way. He's great. It's great seeing him.
He's a piece of work, isn't he?
He's the best.
He's in Seattle right now. Yakima, Washington.
He came over by the tailgate and represented you.
And he has it still, right? You said.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. He's got it, yes. You want to bid on it? He's selling a few things. I don't know.
I doubt he's getting rid of that.
What a story.
Yeah.
Well, we've got Mike Boddicker in studio. He's full of them. He's full of something.
I'm full of a lot of stuff. Just not the good stuff.
Mike Boddicker will settle the border war between Missouri and Kansas.
You don't want to talk about that game last night? That was terrible.
Not really, no.
No, me either. That was terrible.
Why?
Hey, they didn't give up. They fought.
They did. Thank God Marsh struck those 3 guys.
They didn't give up against the A's. Oh, good.
Hey.
If it helps you.
Did they tie their shoes too, Jake? What else?
I mean, they fight. It's part of their character.
You've been in the ring with a few guys that fight and they're no good, right?
I'm just saying, they still had a chance at the end of the game.
You're saying I have a chance.
They still had a chance at the end of the game.
Yeah, they did.
I mean, it's better than losing 7-2.
If Marsh wouldn't have struck those 3 guys out with guys at first and third, nobody out, that would have been a blowout.
It's better than what?
Losing 7-2.
Is it?
Having a chance with the last at bat to win the game or tie it at least. I think it's better. They had a chance in the 9th inning. You're saying it's not as good as if they didn't have a chance at the end? No, it's not acceptable.
I'm looking at the standings. I don't see a column for had a chance in the 9th inning against the A's. I don't see it. Lost.
Participation trophy.
That's not what I'm saying. It's not what I'm saying at all.
Look, I guess when they fight back against the Yankees,
I agree with you.
And the Dodgers, it just
I
hits
thought that was going to be a blowout game.
You know,
right.
I really did.
I'm not. It's no consolation.
No.
What I'm saying
it's
is
still a big L in the column.
Absolutely it is, but this is who they are.
Yeah, they don't give up. I'll give them that.
And that's going to pay off down the road.
But I agree with Steven when you can't lose to Oakland. They're awful.
And that's why they got to win the next 2.
Don't give up 7 runs in the first 3 innings to Oakland where you don't have to.
Absolutely.
I don't know.
Absolutely.
Could have been more. He was that bad.
Absolutely.
I'm going to go home. Back after this on WHB.
I want to tell you about my friends at Victory Ford in my hometown, the legends at KCK. It's easy to get to from anywhere. In fact, Steven's probably going to be driving by there a lot now that he's going to be taking 435 more. It's right off 435 and I-70, so easy to get to, and then an easy experience when you're shopping for a car, whether it's new or used. They have some great incentives right now at Victory Ford, as low as 0% financing on several different models, which is almost impossible to find these days. They've got a great selection of cars available, great customer service. That's the biggest thing that always stands out to me, and that never changes. Whatever the deals are, that customer service at Victory Ford is the best that you will find anywhere, especially when you go to their service department, which I've done many times for my car and my wife's, which isn't even a Ford, and they still get her in quicker than they do at the other places, and they take care of us, and it's a great spot. If you go see them, you'll see Brian Pringle in there. He's a great guy. His whole staff there is fantastic. They always say our first price is better than their last, and they mean it. They've got the great deals right now, and they've got the great customer service. Why wouldn't you stop by and see them? You can check out all their inventory online at victoryfordkc.com, or go stop by and see them at the Legends in KCK.
Jamie Bluma is brought to you by Gutter Cover KC.
Well, folks, I want to tell you about my friends at AC Wellness, also part of Aesthetic Care Med Spa. I've been telling you about AC Wellness for a while now because I went to them when I started feeling some of the things that you feel when you hit middle age. You know, some of that. Well, one of the big issues for me was not sleeping very well at night, and then that causes lack of energy and all kinds of other things. They also have a new program. There's a weekly weight loss injection that has become popular that can be used effectively to lose weight if you do it safely in the right way. And Dr. Amy Carter is having an informative question and answer, virtual question and answer, where you can find out more details about it on June 27th at noon. You can RSVP for exclusive event pricing at greatskinkc.com. That's greatskinkc.com. One person who attends and stays to the end will win a $500 credit to AC Wellness. So again, you can RSVP greatskinkc.com. The key to doing any of these things is doing it properly and safely and doctor supervised, and that's why I've been going to Dr. Amy Carter, because I want to be healthy, and she has been great for me. So 816-326-7294 is the number to call to book your consultation today. What she did with me, she sat down, asked me what I was looking for, what my goals were, and how I could be healthy. And then she went from there, and I've been really happy with the process. 816-326-7294. And if you want to RSVP for that virtual event on the 27th, go to greatskinkc.com.